Hello, I'm Elizabeth Bonkink.
I'm Andrew Paul.
And we're the hosts of the Well Endowed Podcast.
The Well Endowed Podcast is produced by Edmonton Community Foundation, or ECF as we call it.
ECF provides grants to charities through the endowment funds we create and manage with our donors.
Hence the title of our show, The Well Endowed Podcast.
Every month, we bring you a collection of stories and interviews with fascinating guests who are working to make Edmonton a strong, vibrant city to live in.
Through these stories, we look at the space where endowments intersect with your communities.
So if you're interested in the people and issues impacting your community, check out thewellendowedpodcast.com.
Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish. Bop, 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 bop.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of The Breakfast Dish. Did you see that, Griffin? Did you see how I just knew what number it was? I didn't have to ask you. I didn't have to question it. I just knew.
Detective, I don't want to know what you're talking about. Give me an autopsy of the body.
Oh, all right.
Wait, the detective wouldn't do that. Coroner, medical examiner, give me an autopsy of the body.
All right. Well, the body, shall I just, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the body. I'm a professional improviser.
What you're supposed to do is say yes and
yes,
to
okay,
my...
yes,
yeah,
and.
exactly.
Yes,
Thank
and.
you.
Yes, and the coroner, myself, the coroner, Dr. Cavity, has decided
Yikes.
that the body of this particular episode of the podcast is not yet dead and shouldn't be on my table.
Really? Are you sure? I am a professional detective. I should know when someone's dead.
What's your name, detective?
Gunn.
Detective
Gunn. That's right.
And Coroner Cavity.
We've known each other for 20 years, Mr. Cavity. You came to my wedding. I really thought our relationship was kind of special and unique.
Am I the body? I think I'm the body.
I was like going through the idea that like maybe you would do an autopsy of our guest, but you know.
That would be so morbid, though.
Well, you could say the good qualities about the body, not necessarily like do a fun life-opsy.
I'm going to do a life autopsy of our guest, Luc Tellier. All right, Luc Tellier. My findings find that his reason for living is theater, and his reason for being is theater education for youth. And also gummy bears or gummy worms or gummy things of any kind. Am I right about that, Luke?
Confirmed. Yes. Absolutely. Especially the gummy bears and or worms. You nailed it.
Why I know this is because I have worked with Luc Tellier a number of times at ARTSTREK Theatre Alberta's Summer Drama Camp for Teens, which you may or may not have heard me mention on this podcast before. I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, and there's a thing that happens at ARTSTREK that the supervisors call trench mouth. And trench mouth is when you've had way too many bits of sugar, way too many sugary snacks over the course of the 4 weeks that you're at ARTSTREK, that your mouth just gets sore.
Yeah, I think ARTSTREK is the only place where I've had to apply medicine directly to the inside of my mouth.
Right?
So far.
I'm not making it sound very appealing, and that's what we're going to talk about this episode.
That's right. Anyway, we have scholarships available for trench mouth.
Yeah.
The reason that I know that is because Luc Tellier and I have worked for eons together at ARTSTREK, which is Theatre Alberta's Summer Drama Camp for Teens, which I may or may not have mentioned on this podcast before. Probably not. I hardly ever talk about it. Luc Tellier, welcome to the Breakfast Dish podcast.
Hey, thank you. It's an absolute honor to be here with you too.
Thanks. Hey, what the heck? Tell me your experience with ARTSTREK, because I know my history.
Heck?
I don't know your full history. What the heck? Give me the autopsy of your experience with ARTSTREK.
The autopsy begins with this shirt that I'm wearing, which is obviously our listeners can't see it, but it's the very first shirt that I got at ARTSTREK for the importance of being earnest, which I attended in 2008 as a student. And I only went to ARTSTREK twice, but it fully changed my life as a student. Like I was just like, what is this magical place and how do I get back here all of the time? So I went once in junior high and once in high school, and yeah, completely loved it. Like stayed in touch with so many friends and like drama kids from across Alberta, and then was very lucky enough to come back as a super and then a super in the supervisory capacity, running all things camp and fun for 5 or 6 years. And it is the most magical place on the planet. Best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Well, that's it for the podcast. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening to The Breakfast Dish.
That's our last episode. So bye, everybody. Thanks so much, Alberta Podcast Network. We're calling it quits here. Ciao.
But the thing is, I feel the exact same about ARTSTREK. And Griffin, you have an autopsy with ARTSTREK too, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I went to ARTSTREK a few months before I went to ARTSTREK. I was in junior high and I shaved off all my hair for raising money for cancer in junior high school. And so I loved skulls on clothes back then. Loved that. I had a hoodie with some cool skulls on it and a cool backwards fitted cap with skulls on it. And I was like really worried about like looking cool and being awesome. And within 2 days, I had a group of like 6 friends and I realized that I didn't have to wear my skull hoodie every day. That's maybe the best way that I could say how quickly ARTSTREK impacted me.
Yeah. At camp, we love you with or without your skull.
That's the real autopsy, is no skull, no problem. There a point in junior high school where I would wear the same toque and hoodie. I think this was like, do you remember this, Mom? Like grade 8? The orange hoodie.
Oh, honey. Do I remember it?
The orange hoodie and like the yellow and white and blue toque. Do you remember that?
I 100% remember that.
Why did I do that?
Because you looked cool in it. Everyone goes through that.
Yeah, but
you know
it was like months.
Let's back up for a second and let's tell our listeners, because we haven't yet, that I am your mother and you are my son, and we host this podcast together, which is why I have a memory of Griffin going to school every day in the same hoodie and the same toque. But everyone does that. Didn't you, Luke, at some point in your life go, I like this outfit and I look cool in it, so I'm going to wear it all the time?
Yeah, I had this really baggy black hoodie that I somehow forced my thumbs through like the bottom of the sleeves so that I could have like a kind of like a fingerless glove look.
Yeah.
All just like ripped and wet. Like it was just the grossest thing.
Wet? Why was it wet?
Because I'd like wash my hands and not take care of it. There's like soup in it and on it, and it was a disaster.
You'd hold on.
Did you just say soup?
You'd wash your hands while still having your thumbs in the sleeves?
I just wouldn't care. Like I'd be like, that's cool. God. I'm so cool and awesome. Look at my cool ripped hoodie.
There's a very unique internet community right now called like these kind of like very cringe videos, and one of them is people not pulling down their hoodie sleeves when they go and wash, because you kind of watch it, you just go, oh come on, you're that now.
I'm the president.
Yeah.
You know what, Griffin? You need other hobbies. You'll never get the seconds back in your life that you spent watching people wash their hands without moving their hoodie sleeve up.
There's so many platforms right now. YouTube, Instagram. I don't go on TikTok a lot, but I see the things on TikTok that are on the other platforms. It's a myriad of content. You can access any kind of thing at any point, and it just kind of surprises you.
You could be watching Neil Diamond videos, and you're watching people get their sleeves wet.
Okay, when you put it like that.
He's watching Neil Diamond get his sleeves wet. It's amazing.
Okay, that's all right then.
That's right. You can't prove that it's not Neil Diamond holding the camera.
I can't. You're absolutely right.
That's why they call him Neil Wet Sleeves Diamond. Hello?
That's right. Karen, I really thought you'd know that. Kind of a fake fan,
yeah.
Huh?
Loser.
Loser.
We do talk about this a lot at ARTSTREK, though, that kids come from all over Alberta, and they are there
to soak their sleeves.
Just to soak their sleeves.
Yeah.
They are.
Sorry about that.
They are a huge drama geek at school. Like this is their thing. This is their bag. But they also sometimes feel when they get to ARTSTREK that, you know, they in some way have to prove themselves. And then 30 seconds into it, they meet a supervisor like Luke who goes, "Hey, you're cool." And then they drop all of their, they drop the falsehoods and just become themselves, which is great. Griffin, you went how many years?
6. I went all 6 years.
Was Luc Tellier ever your supervisor?
I don't think mine specifically, but he was a super while I was there.
Right, okay.
At least 1 or 2 years.
What are your years? What plays did we study your years?
No problem. I got this. Into the Woods. Frankenstein. You Can't Take It With You. I want to say Romeo and Juliet was next. And then, no, Unity was, I think, my last year. What's the 5th one? Don't tell me, because it's going to be Fiddler on the Roof. Yes.
So that's
nice.
the kind. Talk about the what we do with those scripts at ARTSTREK. Will you, please, Luke?
Yeah, well, I think my favorite part about ARTSTREK is that we don't do a show. Like, it's not, we don't spend the time at camp working towards like, okay, we got to know our lines, we got to know our blocking, we gotta. It's just like, what do we want to do? And we put the script at the center of our work in class, but we don't necessarily pull it apart to make a production. You take an acting class, you take directing, you take design, you take movement, you take voice, and all of the ideas from the script are incorporated into class, but with process at the very forefront of it. Because we really only have 4 days. It's a quick,
true,
but very full camp. And so it's amazing that I think, a lot of students also come in going like, I got to be the best. Like I gotta get the most lines. And I hope, I really want to prove myself. I want to get as much out of this as I can. And we sneak attack. They are able to get so much out of it, but without needing to be the star. They just get to like roll around in the theater sandbox filled with like all of Shakespeare's words this summer and like all of Sondheim's beautiful music this other summer, and then through this amazing Canadian contemporary play. And it's just sandbox after shining sandbox.
That's a quote right there. ARTSTREK is sandbox after shining sandbox. Griffin, do you remember the 2 specific things you said to me about ARTSTREK while you were there?
I remember one because you bring it up maybe every second episode, where that if you died and your funeral was during ARTSTREK, I would have gone to ARTSTREK, which what age did I say that? Because that's a crazy mean thing to say. Was I 18 or was I 13?
No, you were 15, but still.
Okay, actually, that's maybe the worst age.
When I first started teaching at ARTSTREK, that's what I thought too, that if I died, I wouldn't be at my own funeral. And you also said, hey, Mom, guess what the best place in the world is? Disneyland. Just kidding, ARTSTREK.
No, I said something like, I think I said the most magical place, because isn't that Disney's quote?
Yes.
I don't like this putting words in my mouth, freaking fake news, misquoting me. I won't have it. This is a character assassination. This is an expose, and I won't have it.
It's an autopsy. It's not an assassination. You're already dead, Griffin. Wake up.
Oh, okay. I'm already dead. Sheeple, wake up. He's already dead. He's been dead for 4 years. He's been replaced. I'm like Avril Lavigne.
This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Alberta Blue Cross understands that running a small business is tough, and they understand business owners in Alberta are busy. Let Alberta Blue Cross give you peace of mind with a group benefit plan. They offer health, dental, life, and disability coverage for your employees. Alberta Blue Cross group benefit plans are easy to manage anywhere, anytime, and on any device, making it easy for you and your employees to access. To learn more and explore your options, head to ab.bluecross.ca. What's a typical day in the life of a student at ARTSTREK there, Luke?
You wake up very early. No, I shouldn't open that.
No, yeah. Prep them.
5 a.m.
You wake up very early because we have to be in the cafeteria by 8 o'clock. So if you're lucky, you wake up and your super is just dressed like a super and they're like, good morning. And if it turns out to be a day where your supers want to have fun, they'll wake you up like dressed as a bird or like dressed as you or dressed as a piece of toast. And you have to like play their game with them. It's just fun and games from beat one. And you get ready in your dorm room with your other roommates. You gather all of the things that you need for class. And then we make our merry trek over to the arts campus. Well, I guess we stop at the cafeteria first, of course. Have breakfast. There's usually eggs. There's certainly a potato. And then there's a huge group warm-up led by very special guests who happen to look just like your supers. And after the group warm-up, you go through, I think, 5 classes throughout the day. Yep. With a lunch break in between. And in between each class, you get to visit your beautiful supers. I'm really driving the super thing home. And maybe your supers are, dressed again like a normal person. Maybe they're dressed like an ape and running around campus, and you have to catch them if you want your water bottle back. And then we have free time for about 90 minutes where some people nap, some people go play hopscotch. Some people like braid my hair, whatever works for you. And then there's this amazing, amazing super activity, which is like 2 hours long and also hosted by people who look very, very similar to your supers, but who are not your supers. And we just like play games. We take over the arts campus and we have all of the fun that we can possibly have before we head on back to our dorms for a quick dorm meeting. How we all doing? Check in with your supers, with your roommates. Lights out at 10 o'clock. Rinse and repeat. Let's go. Who's going to wake me up tomorrow? We'll see.
Have you ever woken up a student as a bird? Have you dressed up as a bird to wake up a student?
Great question. I have not, but I have woken students up dressed as a spy.
Okay.
Where I would like knock on their doors and then go hide, and they'd have to come find me in order to officially be awake. One day it was beach day, and so there was like I was like blowing bubbles, and I maybe had like a grass skirt or something. We really and then there was Freaky Friday, where we would dress up as each other and go wake up each other's kids. And there was a mime day one day where nobody could speak to each other at all until we said so. We have fun. We had umlaut day. Umlauts, if you don't know, are the two little dots that go above vowels in certain languages. And we decided that would be a really great theme for a day. So we all dressed up as umlauts and just made up our own rules of what umlaut day is.
Did the pronunciation of your name change on umlaut day?
Yeah, I was super Luc. The kids mostly enjoyed it.
I remember Spy Day because the kids all came into the cafeteria and crouched down under the table, and they all sat on the floor and ate their meals under the table because they're spies.
Like spies do. Like spies do. And there's always like, we do find your super, and you have to like go find your super and do attendance like before each class. And that was so intense. We had to be like really like in tune with each other because we all had to go hide. And then just like from our hiding spots, we just had to know that all of these other supers had found their hiding spots. And then from like inside a garbage can or like hanging under a bench. So we just yelled, "Find your super." And the kids were just like, where are you? And we're like, you got to find us. It was a very, very long attendance, and it was a ton of fun.
Hi there, this is Detective Gunn from Alberta Health Services. I heard you had some of your students eating your lunch off the floor. Is that what I heard there, Karen?
Yes, but I'll add that they were in fact spies. So yeah.
As a detective, I respect that.
And also they were sitting on the floor, but the food was on a plate.
Yeah.
Got it. And the plate was on the floor?
No, the plate was in their lap.
Plate was on the lap. Okay.
Yeah, we're not evil at ARTSTREK.
I'm so sorry to disturb you. I'll go back to my hut.
You have taught at ARTSTREK as well, Luc, because there's a thing called Workshop Wednesday. Tell us about that.
Workshop Wednesday is very fun. It's for the older students, the older weeks, who are always like so hungry for more theater knowledge and more theater things to do. The supers lead Workshop Wednesday, where we get to just share something that we do as part of our artistic practice with the students, which is so much fun for them to see us like outside of like zany fun Superland and just be like, okay, also I'm an artist and I also really love theater and here's why I love it. And so the supers, we kind of pair up and teach a class of our choosing. So I've mostly done vocal music and choral singing, which is so beautiful. Like just get to jam in like studio in this like beautiful, huge studio on a grand piano and sing like We Belong or sing this like scary song from Carrie and sing this like cool song from Hair. And then at the end of the night, the students are like walking back down the hallway in like beautiful 4-part harmony and like, what could actually be better than that? What could be better?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And some of the supers have taught playwriting, choreography, how to write a song, how to work through Shakespeare text.
Yeah. There's been some clown workshops that are really fun.
Improv.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, Griffin and Luc, I'm asking you both now. Your number one favorite memory from ARTSTREK as a student, Griffin, And your number one favorite memory, Luc, as a supervisor. So, Griffin, you were a supervisor at one point too, as well. Your number one favorite memory from ARTSTREK, never mind what you were.
Okay. You go first, Luc. You're the guest.
My favorite memory as a super was, it actually ended up being my last summer as a super, which I didn't know at the time because the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, later swept the nation. But you can cut that part out if we don't want to talk about COVID. It was my last summer as a super, and we were all gathered for sharing, where all the parents gathered to watch some things that their kids have learned over the week. And naturally, the supers are very emotional during that time because we really, really love the students, and having them leave is a very sad thing for us. And we're also very, very tired at that time. So we just kind of like roll into our chair and like start gently crying while the students sing to us. And we were kind of gearing up there's a beautiful last moment that we always do during sharing that we were like already crying for, like we were just primed to weep. And throughout the week, we'd quote unquote pranked the students by just making them do squats with us, which we thought was a very fun lunchtime activity, which they eventually got on board with. And so we're building up to this beautiful moment in sharing, and we're just like ready to weep. And then all of the students just start doing 58 squats and counting that, like 1, 2, 3. And we're like, oh no, the bit is that we do 58 squats because it's the 58th year of ARTSTREK. Are they going to do 58 squats? And the parents are just kind of like looking at each other and then like turning around to look back at us. And we're like, we just
your heads are exploding.
Believe what we're seeing. But it was like, we were unanimously pranked by like 120 students. And it was this amazing moment of the parents kind of being like, is this camp? Like, is this theater camp? But clearly this like huge love and like the students were clearly in on this big joke together and like sending it back to us, and we were receiving it at the back of the house, just like, I can't believe this is happening. And it was the biggest, most beautiful, inclusive inside joke ever. Everybody was in on the joke.
And there was 130 of those students, and all of them have become such an ensemble over the week that somebody goes, we should do squats during the final sharing. And everyone goes, yeah. And the fun thing too was watching like you're right, the parents were going, is this theater camp or sports camp? But also you could see in their eyes, the parents are thinking, my child is one of 130 in this ensemble, all laughing and doing the same thing. Also, this same thing is making those 10 supervisors at the back scream and yell. And it took, 2.5 minutes to get her done, I think. And we all just sat there. I think you guys even at the end of your 4 weeks of ARTSTREK, and you were so tired, you even stood up and did some of the squats with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, they really committed to the bit. It was a full 58 squats.
Such a good memory, which I'm coming to your memory, Griffin, but which reminds me to say that, yes, that year, ARTSTREK was 58 years old. It's been going for that long. And now this year coming up is the 61st year of ARTSTREK that started as Drumheller Drama School. And folks out there that are my age that are listening, one of our graduates is Jackson Davies from the Beachcombers. Anybody that you see working on stage in Alberta, 90% of them went to ARTSTREK, either as a student or they have taught there because they're a professional artist or educator. Anyway, I could go on, but first I want to hear Griffin's favorite memory.
My favorite memory is not as a super and not even as an official student. It is the little, I want to say 2-hour window of time that you brought me to, I think, the importance of being earnest dance. Am I right about that?
I think so, yeah. You weren't old enough to be a student, but I was there teaching, and something happened where your dad had to go out of town or something. You ended up having to come to Red Deer, and I talked to the head office, and they went, oh, take him to the dance. And I went, oh, okay.
On the last day of ARTSTREK, after all the classes and the day before you do a showing to your folks in the audience, you do a big old dance party. It's like a big raucous night of just like musical theater songs, and the super's on the DJ, and you're just like, you're busting a move in the Black Box studio in Red Deer College. It's great. There's donuts, there's chocolate milk. It's a riot. And I was 12 and they were all 16 to 18. and I wasn't in my full skull hoodie shaved head evolution yet, but I was getting there. So I was kind of dancing around. I was introduced to two people who I remember was Wayne Diatley and a person that I know only to this day as Slim. I only know their name is Slim. And Wayne Diatley and Slim brought me out in the dance floor. We started dancing. And eventually there was a big dance circle happening. And man, 12-year-old Griffin loved to air guitar and electric guitar with one leg in the air. And so there was a whole bunch of people doing like very impressive breakdance moves, like the worm. I think someone did a flip, the coffee grinder, and I was like, yeah, me too. And I went in there and I started doing my air guitar, not just kind of in a direct straight line across the circle, just like, all right, air guitar this way. And it was a very scary and very elating moment. There was about 4 seconds where everyone who wasn't Wayne Diatley or Slim went, who is this child? And then the 3 seconds afterwards, we went, that child's doing the air guitar. And they all went, yeah! Like it was just a volcano eruption. And then there was like 3 18-year-old people behind me doing electric air guitar. And that's when I knew that I had to go to ARTSTREK. That's probably my favorite memory because that's the one that'll stick with me the most because it was the first time really, besides like a full, in my 12-year-old brain, grown up or family, that a person like that much older than me went, whoa, you're cool, 12-year-old.
That is like the perfect encapsulation of ARTSTREK culture, I think, is like the 4 seconds of like, I'm not sure what to do with this. I'm in. This is so awesome.
Yeah, totally. Holy crap. Who brought this baby? Yeah, baby.
I'm going to tell you my favorite memory now of ARTSTREK. Can I? It was either 2019 or 2018. Maybe it was 2018. And we had a student who was super shy and really anxious about joining in. And over the course of this week, this student had just opened up and become more and more confident and had joined in and made some really great connections, etc., but suffered some major anxiety in terms of performing. And this student, on the day of sharing, on the final Saturday morning when their parents came to share. And in sharing, they sing the songs that they've learned through the week and they present the dances that they've learned in the week and they show some of the exercises that they did in other classes. And this student couldn't make it happen that day. Like the anxiety took over and they wanted to not be on the stage with the rest of the kids, which is absolutely fine. Like we're not going to force anybody to do anything at ARTSTREK. And we said, okay, here's a chair. You can sit backstage and you can watch your pals and you can sing from backstage if you want. That's fine. And the student was like, great. And so every once in a while, I would come backstage just to check on them and see how they were doing. And during one of the dance numbers, I came backstage and they were up out of their chair, completely in the hallway behind the stage, 100% singing and dancing with all of their friends because they couldn't not do the thing. It was more important for them to do it than it was for them to be seen doing it. And I just looked at them and I just started weeping. And they looked at me and I went, I must hug you right now. And they went, okay. That was for me the moment where I went, arts took over your life. Yeah. And it wasn't about performing. It was about living in the art for just a second. That was my favorite.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Right?
I love that.
Let's do the brass tacks of this. Okay. ARTSTREK, a summer theater school for teens. This year, 2022, happens in person at Red Deer Polytechnic. And with your tuition for the camp, it involves all of your food and all of your lodgings. You stay in the dorms. This is the weeks of ARTSTREK this year. Exploration 1, July 17th to 22nd. Exploration 2, July 24th to 30th. Exploration 1 is for, approximately 13 to 15-year-olds. Exploration 2 is for the 16 to 18-year-olds. You have to have completed grade 7 to attend ARTSTREK. I will also say applications are open. You can go to theateralberta.com/ARTSTREK. You can fill out the application, etc. there. And if cost is a struggle for anyone out there, Theatre Alberta provides scholarships and bursaries. So you can apply for financial assistance. There is financial help to be had at Theatre Alberta if you need financial help. It's not an expensive camp. It's a life-changing camp. That's what it is. That's why my kid went there 6 years.
You have pimped so much of my nerd life, you need to tell them what the show is.
Oh, yeah, right. So the play at the Center of Study of ARTSTREK this year is written by Nguyen called She Kills Monsters. It's a drama comedy play that debuted in 2011. It tells the story of Agnes Evans, who has lost her family in a car accident. And Agnes embarks on an adventure by playing Dungeons and Dragons because her sister loved Dungeons and Dragons and had written a module for Dungeons and Dragons. And so in order to reconnect and honor her sister, Agnes plays Dungeons and Dragons. And if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you will love this play. If you don't know Dungeons and Dragons, you will love this play. You've heard enough times on this podcast about how much my head does not have room for Dungeons and Dragons. My heart does not have interest so much for Dungeons and Dragons, but this play is fantastic. So those are the dates. That's the times. That's the play.
Dreams.
Luke.
Yeah.
In our intro music, Alexander Cowman, who wrote our intro song, sings "Tell Me Your Dreams" over bacon and eggs. So we've been asking all of our guests, if you are a nighttime dreamer, to tell us the weirdest dream you've ever had at night, or the one you remember from childhood, or the one you had most recently.
I will say that in the last few months, let's call it 1 year, I have obsessed over Big Brother Canada, and Big Brother Canada 10 just wrapped up. And since the finale, I have just had dreams about Big Brother Canada with nothing interesting happening. Like, it's just like replaying the season in my head as if I'm there. So my whole world right now is just Big Brother Canada when I go to sleep, which is fine by me. That's my dreams. That's what I'm dreaming about over bacon and eggs.
I think your dream should be to be on that show.
Yeah, would you go on?
I would love to go on that show. Oh my gosh.
Have you applied to like the Big Brother casting calls?
I've never applied. I'm too scared.
What?
I'm too
You gotta
scared.
do it.
You have to do it. That would be great TV. That would, like, I'm telling you right now, Big Brother Canada, you could not have a more perfect guest.
You would be an audience favorite for sure.
You totally would.
I would go wake people up dressed as toast, for God's sake. You can't write this. I'll do it for you.
Speaking of toast, let's raise a toast to the Alberta Podcast Network, shall we, Griffin?
Oh, raise a glass to another year. We are a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear has been composed by Alexandra Cowman. All graphic design for The Breakfast Dish has been done by Morgan Ermter. Luc Tellier, thank you very much for joining us on The Breakfast Dish.
I have really exciting news for you. There are 2 outros today because I have to sing you a song that Stephen Delano taught us in ARTSTREK.
Absolutely.
In my very first year. And me and my friends who went to camp together, like, still sing this to each other when we have a bad day. Okay, prepare yourself.
Ready.
If your brain says yes, but your heart says no, your heart is usually where you should go. It's telling you what to do, that's right. So stick with it and you are going to be all right. Isn't that so cute?
Oh, Stephen Delano, I love you so much. And Luke, I love you for singing that song.
It's always in my head. And apparently, like, it's from a musical and it's sung by an owl. That's all I know about it.
And as the Breakfast Dish episode comes to a close, you'll be listening to Alexandra Cowman's also outro music, and you better send your thoughts to thebreakfastdish@gmail.com of what animal Alex Cowman is. All right.
This has been The Breakfast Dish.
If your brain says yes, but your heart says no, your heart is usually where you should go. It's telling you what to do, that's right. So stick with it and you are going to be all right.